This video is for MYP design students who are compiling their summative report for Criterion C, and I'm going to focus on Strand 2. So this video is for people who want to get top marks for Strand 2. Now Strand 2, reading the assessment criteria, it says you need to demonstrate excellent technical skills when making the solution. So the emphasis here is on your technical skills. So here are a couple of tips what to put in your report. So first step is to actually identify some skills. Now be very specific here. So think about whatever it was that you created, and then think about what kind of skills that you developed through the process, or maybe you already had certain skills, and what kind of skills that you incorporated to make your product. Now, if you are having trouble thinking about your skills, now one trap that people fall into is either not actually identifying enough skills, or they're not specific enough. So for example, if you made a website, you don't just write web development or website development skills. That's too vague. You need to be very specific. So how to be specific? I would recommend going to a search engine and typing in whatever skill or whatever area it is, and try and find a list of certain skills in that area. So I'll demonstrate that now. Let me just get a Google page open. So just imagine I was, what did I do? I'll use that same example. Web development, web designing? Yeah, maybe that's a better word. Web designing skills. Now, there's quite a few skills that just popped up there. One thing to just keep in mind is that you're not talking about ATL skills, so you're not talking about creative thinking, so that's not that great. I want to be a bit more specific. So what I might do, here we go, I'm going to open that website, and that website, and that website, and that website, and just let's start to get a few ideas about web designing skills. What can I find here? Composition. Okay, that is a specific skill. I actually demonstrated composition skills. Now, what is composition skills? Just look for the definition. So when you're coming up with your list, try to get, say, 5 to 10 specific skills. Identify the skill, and then explain the skill, and then the last part is demonstrate that you've actually used, you provide some evidence that you demonstrated that skill. So just a little bit of research, you could come up and you make yourself sound like you've got a lot more skills. So don't be afraid to do some research here. Research is going to make that really easy. So color theory. I demonstrated that I incorporated some color theory skills when I was developing my website. What is color theory skill? There it is written here. What's the next website? 21 essential skills needed. Okay, did you do any coding? Did you edit any of the CSS or the HTML code? If so, you explain. I demonstrated that I can do some coding. So a little bit of research. So perhaps there's something else you did. Maybe you designed some kind of some fashion design. So imagine fashion design skills. Again, a lot of 18 skills. So just do a little bit of research, and this job should be pretty easy to do. Let me just change my screen here. I just paused there for a moment. I just realized the whiteboard is incorrect. It's supposed to be Strand 2. Please forgive me. Anyway, back to the video. Okay, so that's the first part. Identify lots of skills. And where is it? Explain the skills. So imagine the reader, the person reading your report, they don't know. They're not experts in that field. So that's why you need to identify a skill and explain it. So come up with a list of 5 to 10 skills, explain each of them, and then provide some evidence of you demonstrating that. Ways you can present it, imagine doing like a bullet point list. The evidence can be photographs, it can also be some videos as well. And the last part here is it's time for you to flex. It's time for you to basically show off. You need to tell the reader that you really have some excellent skills. Don't talk about your problems or your failures. You're here to convince the reader you've got some great technical skills. Now, keep in mind, you also have to do this in your, if you're doing your personal project in the MYP. This is also required for that. So you can do the same kind of thing if you're doing your personal project. Okay, some examples. So this image here, it's demonstrating a specific skill. So just imagine you made a table. So painting, I did some painting skills, and then a photograph to provide some evidence that you actually do have some painting technical skills. What about marking, measuring, cutting? These are all specific skills, and here's like a very clear evidence of someone demonstrating that skill. What about back to the fashion design example? So here you could be talking about, I demonstrated sketching. I've got very good technical drawing skills. Then you can even go into more detail. I've got shading skills. You can go into more detail about annotations, this kind of thing, or the fabrics. How did you choose the fabrics? So just pull apart whatever it is you're creating and looking at it from a technical skill perspective. Here's some more evidence of, here's a nice clear piece of evidence of a sketch that somebody did. This is also kind of evidence of some cutting skills, that's another skill, or sewing skills. Maybe you had to put on some buttons, this kind of thing. Okay, next one. Imagine if you had some kind of like a video project or some photographs. Here is a nice way to start. So I've just typed in what are some photography skills. So here are a whole bunch of skills. Do you know what noise is? When it comes to taking a photograph, did you adjust or edit the noise? Are you aware of that? Do you have those skills? Do you know anything about ISO? Do you know about adjusting the brightness? So again, don't just say I've got photography skills. You need to pull apart the skills. Now here's an example of some composition. So when you were taking a photo, you didn't just take a photo, you composed the photo, you arranged it, and used some kind of like the golden ratio there, or the triangular thing. So here again, it's just this image is basically just demonstrating that you're very clever with photography, and this is how clever I am. Look at these skills that I've utilized and used. Now, cooking skills. You don't just write, I'm a good cook, that's my technical skill. You need to go into more specifics. For example, I can do the cutting, I'm very good at cutting. But even within that element, you can even go into greater detail. So imagine providing evidence that you can do all of these specific cutting techniques. That's how much detail you need to go into if you want to get top marks. Cake decorating, you can talk about that. Look at this cake I possess excellent technical skills in cake decoration. Here's another skill, plating up. So I've got a lot of technical skills when it comes to plating up a dish. Now, if you're doing some kind of like a digital design project, maybe you're doing some coding, again, go into great detail. So here's just a piece of evidence, the first picture of somebody doing some coding, and that'll get a medium low mark. But if we actually look at the coding, you can highlight certain skills that you possess. Do you know what the if function is, or the elif? You might need to just explain it briefly and then provide some evidence that you can actually put that specific code within your program. To conclude, I'll just talk about the assessment, how you'll be assessed, and also have a focus on differentiation. So first of all, if you demonstrate minimal skills, you get a score of 2 out of 8. If you demonstrate satisfactory skills, you'll get a score of 4. If you've got competent skills, you can get to 6. But if you have excellent skills, if you demonstrate excellent skills, you will get a score of 8. Now, just be aware, sometimes becoming aware of your own skills is part of the process here. So perhaps you're doing something that you're quite new to. So within a class, for example, the best you might be able to achieve is satisfactory or competent. But remember, as with education, the measure of success really is where you start and where you finish. So if you're doing a project, if you've developed your skills over a period of time, that's the most important thing. So to conclude, don't worry if you don't have excellent skills. Be proud of yourself if you develop some skills over time. I hope this helps you with Criterion C Strand 2, and I hope you get top marks. Good luck.